Well, the worst is behind them in terms of mountain climbing. Yesterday on the Angliru, Alberto Contador took over the gold leader's jersey here, the Mayo Oro, in the Vuelta España, firing himself to victory. Behind him, Levi Leipheimer now sits at 1 minute and 7 seconds. His teammate is not over yet, though. Sastre is at 3 minutes and 1 second. We are still in Asturias, taking ourselves over much of the same terrain as we did yesterday, including the Alto de Colodona, but the opposite way around. 3 first category climbs. We finished today at the ski station at Vuelta Stage in Virnio. 3 third category climbs early in the day. We are only 13 kilometers from the finish. They are running much faster than the predicted estimate, and we'll bring you live right up to date with it now. Here we are. There's just a few riders out ahead of an existing break that went away. Originally, it was Arroyo, Landalucia, Garcia, Mayos, Cunego, Velez, Van Gulen, Florencio, Chavanel, Konecko and Kirienka. Of the breakaway riders, only a few remain up the road now. Martin Velez of Milram, Jurgen Van Gulen, the rider from CSC, Sylvain Chavanel of Cofidis and Iban Mayos from Galicia are the only riders ahead. And with 10 kilometers to go, it's not that far to the end of today's stage. We finish up at the ski station at Fuentes de Inverno. And they are on the climb now of the Puerto de San Isidro, which is the climb that runs up to the ski station. And the man who is attacking at the front from CSC is Jurgen Van Gulen, the Belgian who has been out all day in a break. Van Gulen, who was lying well up on the overall classification, lost a little bit in the last couple of days, certainly lost some in the climbing. Now 14th overall at 11 minutes and 42 seconds back, going for the stage victory today and trying to push himself back up into the top 10. Behind, it's Alejandro Valverde's squad who are controlling the pace. K. Stepan with 10 kilometers to go. The gap is only 1:20 or so. It had got up to about 4.5 minutes, maybe a little more. Our original breakaway riders again, just to bring you up to date: David Arroyo, Iñigo Landalucia, David Garcia, Iban Mayos, Damiano Cunego, Martin Velez, Jurgen Van Gulen, and another attack coming out of the peloton, just pushing away now. Florencio from Bouygues Telecom, Sylvain Chavanel of Cofidis, Dimitri Kozunchuk and Vasily Kirienka. And that has been whittled right down. We are very close to the finish. This is Tonti. We've seen him in a break once already. You can tell him quite easily by his flowing hair out the back of the helmet. Andrea Tonti, there he is. We've seen him, as I say, in a break already. Beautiful weather in the Vuelta today, and they've almost caught the back of the breakaway, and this will mean that the fight is truly on. Just to bring you up to date with what has happened so far today, we've got very, very little time. The Alto de Padrun, we never got a full rundown of who went over the top first, except for David Moncoutier, taking 6 points to add to his mountains classification jersey. Then the Alto de San Tirso at 22 kilometers only. Third category climb: Chavanel, Kirienka, Velez, Cunego. They had already gone by that time. Then the Alto de San Emiliano, which is at 34. Chavanel, Van Gulen, Landalucia and Cunego. The sprint at Mieres was taken by Van Gulen ahead of Florencio and Kirienka. Then the Alto della Colodona, which they went over yesterday. At this time 70 kilometers into the run, and they went over it the other way around than they did yesterday. Landalucia, Van Gulen, Kirienka, Florencio, Velez, Garcia, Cunego and Arroyo in that order. Then the Coladiela, which is the last big climb they come to before this final San Isidro. It was Chavanel, Van Gulen, Landalucia, Mayos, Garcia, Velez, Cunego, Arroyo and Kirienka in that order. 16 points, remember, for a first category climb. Chavanel trying to soak up as many as possible and protect the jersey of teammate David Moncoutier. They're now on the Puerto de San Isidro. And this is Sylvain Chavanel about to be caught by the peloton. Well, David Duffield and Carlton Kirby doing a fine job on the opening day of the Tour of Poland. What a what a shower that was. Fantastic entertainment, but not so good for Dario Cioni and Jurgen van den Broek, by the look of it, who crashed out in their team time trial. This man, though, Jurgen van Gulen, is the one remaining man from the breakaway who's got away. Sean Kelly, a winner of the Vuelta España 20 years ago this year, 1988. A very tough day today. We may have had the toughest day in terms of a mountaintop finish yesterday, but this is a tough day.
Well, it certainly is. I think there's a lot of very difficult terrain. There's not any section where you have a long time where you can relax. I suppose you have to be really take attention today, and I think a lot of the leaders will be a little bit nervous, although the weather conditions are better. We all remember the problem Valverde had when he was in a split and he got left behind, and it cost him so much time and maybe cost his place at the podium. But we see again he's very much to the fore, and yesterday he was quite good on that final climb, which wasn't really his style of climb, much steeper than I think he would prefer, but certainly they're putting on the pressure again today, and I think he is still fighting for a place on the podium, because at the moment he's down in fourth position, of course, at 4:40, but Mosquera's at 4:19 and Sastre at 3 minutes, so it's all to play for the moment. I think a place on the podium the way he's looking at the moment is possible.
Well, Tinkoff right as well, look at it, giving it a go. Difficult to tell, sorry, from that particular shot, as Tonti gets pulled back in. That looks like Rovni to me. Oh no, is that Pavel Buch? Difficult to tell. And just coming out of the peloton is Walter Pedraza, sorry. But Tinkoff. Well, Pedraza has had a good go early on in the competition for the mountains. Apologies for not spotting him from the Colombian bands further down the hill. Difficult when the sun's in the lens, but he had a good old go earlier on in the mountains classification, so maybe he feels he's got the good legs today. Still in the big ring, ploughing up here. It's not as viciously steep as yesterday. The average gradient's only 6.1%, but even so, this is the third and final first category climb of the day. And once you get over the top of this, just a little run down into the ski station. This is known as the Puerto de San Isidro. And the ski station we finish at today is the ski station Fuentes de Invierno. Damiano Cunego back in the group, having been in the break all day today, and now slowly slipping out of the back, trying to do something with his Vuelta España. Just very briefly then, Sean, they're very close to the top. Let's just have a quick roundup of what you thought of yesterday. Alberto Contador, did he show he's the best man in terms of climbing yesterday? I mean, I actually thought Valverde did a fantastic recovery ride, and I was very impressed with the guts and determination of Carlos Sastre just hanging in there.
Yes, I think certainly Contador proved that he's the best climber, and especially on a climb like that, it really suits him, the real steep stuff. He can do it so well. Here today is a bit more difficult, as we can see there. Some of the riders still on the big ring climbing up this one, so the gradient is certainly much easier today. But certainly it was a very good performance by Contador. But Valverde still, after the problems he had 2 days previous, I think he put in a very good performance yesterday. Sastre, of course, you have to hand it to him. He was suffering very earlier on in the climb, but kept working on it, limit his losses, and but still, it's 132 down. He is going to have a problem. I think the challenge against Valverde is against Contador is not going to be on there, unless Contador have a difficult day. But certainly, he's still in there with a chance. But Contador looks like more the one who can take this victory in Madrid in a week's time. But Leipheimer, we have to be careful. He's still in there, and did a nice lot of work yesterday, but still finished up quite strong, did not lose a huge amount of time, and as we know on time trial, he can put up some great performances.
The time trial at the end of this Vuelta España, though, is essentially a mountain time trial. It's an uphill time trial. It's categorized as a first category climb. That must play into the hands of Alberto Contador, even though Leipheimer is still a very good climber and very good against the clock. It will even out the score. Leipheimer must be a little bit worried that he's got to try and not surreptitiously, but try and get limit as much time against Contador as possible, without upsetting the team.
Yes, of course. You know, but yesterday I think he did, you know, the job that he needed to do. He set the pace there for you know, quite a while, and then it was some of the other teams took it up. And I think the good thing for him was there was somebody, you know, took it up. I think it was the case that Pang actually took it over and upped the pace a bit. But certainly, you know, that suited him. He didn't have to ride for a long time on the front, so he had some energy left to get to the finish and limit his losses, as we say. And the time trial, yes, it's you know, a little bit in the favour of Contador, because it is a mountain time trial, but still it's not one of these real steep climbs, and Leipheimer still could you know, cause problems. But I think we will see again where, you know, Contador will try and take some more time from Leipheimer in the next number of days before we get to the final time trial.
Van Gulen has 35 seconds over the peloton. It's being pushed along by Kees de Pang at the front, who yesterday had Alejandro Valverde within 40 seconds at the top. In the end, he overhauled his teammate Joaquim Rodriguez by the end of the climb of the Angler route. High praise from this man here, Alberto Contador, for his teammates. He praised Leipheimer, but who's just sitting right behind him in the combined jersey, as you can see. But he also gave special praise for Jose Luis Rubiera, who's sitting right next to him now, Chichu Rubiera, and said he did a tremendous amount of work, and he's very thankful to them. But I think, you know, by the time you get to a climb like the Angler, it's every man for himself, to be frank. It's that difficult. But the tactic work, get into the bottom of the hill and go real hard on the second last climb of the day. 7k to go then for Jurgen van Gulen. Jurgen van Gulen had a very good early part of the Vuelta a España, keeping himself up there nicely, but has lost a little on some of the bigger climbs. Going for the win today. Kees de Pang very keen to keep the pace high here, Sean, and try and control things. Another stage win they're going for?
Yes, I think certainly Valverde is going to try and go for the stage victory here, and he's, you know, just want to get as much as possible out of this race, get a couple of stages, and you know, the general classement is going to be majorly difficult for him. And this stage, of course, he's going to, you know, eliminate all the sprinters, or any of the better sprinters, let's say, and we can see the reason. They're just putting on the pressure and make it really difficult for everyone. That's what Valverde, you know, would want, and I think he can, you know, if it comes down to the sprint here at the end, he's going to be one of the fastest men left in this main group.
And we go over the top. There is a flattened section at the top. It's not right at the very summit, this. And Van Gulen's going well at the moment.
Yes, he certainly is. And Van Gulen was going, he's been going well in this tour all the time. But again, the other day, 2 days ago, he missed that move. He was with Valverde when they were in that split, and he lost quite a bit of time there. And you know, also quite a big mistake by him, because otherwise he would be very much up in the general, because he lost that 3.5 minutes, and only for that he would be quite close in the top 10 in the general probably.
Suera Durell was his best result in the Vuelta so far, sixth on stage 5. And now the dig coming in out of the peloton by Juan Manuel Garate, former Spanish national champion, and good at this sort of climb. Certainly in the very steep climbs he has a bit of trouble, but certainly good in this particular type of climbing. Van Gulen is being overhauled. 6 kilometers to go then. And he has had a good tour so far, Vuelta a España, Jurgen van Gulen, 27 years of age, but riding probably his best Grand Tour, certainly. Not had a great season, but this is the best part of it. And now, is that Martinez? Looks like Igor Martinez actually having a go with Juan Manuel Garate. Nice rhythm he's got, looking good. This sort of climb suits him. We've seen him in the Giro d'Italia with Jens Vogt, took a stage victory. I've never seen a man look quite so bemused. He looked like a A first-time winner in a schoolboy race, actually. When he got away, I don't think he could quite believe he'd actually won a stage in a Grand Tour. Now that's really lifted his game. There is Van Goulen, and now being passed by the man from Euskaltel, Ivan Velasco. Well, we don't see much of Velasco, so you will understand where we went. Well, who's that then? Incidentally, Martinez lost a whacking amount of time yesterday and slips right down the general classification. I think he wore that gold jersey very well indeed. Now lies in 8th spot overall, 6:56 back, and still a very, very good time indeed he had in that jersey. Oliver Zorg had a good day yesterday. He goes up to 10th overall. Marcia Brugigin amazingly managed to keep still climbing excellently, and now the attacks are beginning to come. Contador leaping into the wheel of Valverde. Doesn't want people to get away. Sastre is the one putting the hammer down in the front. And immediately the reaction comes from Astana. Sastre upping the pace. No problem so far for Alberto Contador and Alejandro Valverde. They were very quick on that. He's looked sharp, apart from that time when he missed out completely. I mean, stupid schoolboy error by Valverde. Generally, when an attack's come, he's looked very sharp this year.
Yes, certainly, he's climbing very well, and you know, just that mistake, a really, you know, major tactical error to lose that over 3 minutes, which is, you know, going to be always is going to be talked in this in Vuelta a lot. And if he, you know, still puts in performance, they will say if he hadn't lost that time on that day. And you know, we talked about it so much. Why was he in that position? We heard later he went back for a rain jacket, but still, it was a long ways before the top of the climb. I think he hung around too far back in the bunch and just, you know, relaxed too much and lost concentration for some time, and paid the price dearly.
Looking over the shoulder to see exactly where Alberto Contador is. His teammate just checking out exactly where the leader is. They're all looking at each other. Leipheimer on the left-hand side of Alejandro Valverde, on the right-hand side, and looking across, getting into the wheel now is Alberto Contador, just behind the Carlos Sastre from CSC, who upped the pace just now. On his right-hand side, taking a drink in the blue and orange, is Robert Gesink of Rabobank. I would guess that is Ezequiel Mosquera just ahead of them, and who is now giving a dig. Although we haven't seen a close-up of it so far. This is Rodriguez towards the back, number 58. David Moncoutier once again having a good time. Oliver Zorg, the Swiss rider from Gerolsteiner. And away goes the rest of those guys being mopped up. I think it is Mosquera putting the hammer down at the front here.
Yes, it certainly is, and of course, you know, he's riding well. Yesterday he suffered quite a bit as well, and you know, started to suffer quite early. But the same as Sastre, we see him, you know, putting a dig in there. The real steep climbs, you know, sometimes it doesn't suit a rider, and yesterday was a real killer of a climb. But certainly today we see Mosquera pushing it on here, and Sastre just a little bit off the rear there. But it's really blown this bunch, what is left of the bunch, this 15-18 miles apart.
Terrific little burst of speed by Ezequiel Mosquera. He suits this slightly less steep climb better than yesterday's one on the Angleroo, and once again we see the Tour de France winner Carlos Sastre a little bit under pressure. He's got a bike length to make up onto the wheel of Levi Leipheimer, who's still looking good. Mosquera at the front in the blue helmet, the white outfit of Jacobo Galicia, with just behind him Alejandro Valverde. We're down to a very select five now. Mosquera, Valverde, Contador, Leipheimer, and at the back Carlos Sastre. The sting has just gone out of it. Allows Sastre to get on the back. Well, usually we've said that Sastre gets better at the end of a 3-week tour, but he had a struggle on his hands. Well, he won the most prestigious Grand Tour of all, and as the pace goes up a little bit again, I think he's beginning to suffer. He's had a heavy year already, Carlos Sastre. The biggest burden of all, winning the Tour de France, has been lifted off his shoulders, but it's difficult to maintain that sort of form all the way through a season.
Yes, it is certainly difficult, and he's had a lot, I think, after the tour as well. Not only in the tour itself, there'll be a lot of pressure on. The last week he was there, and I know he was maybe a bit more quieter. Certainly in this tour, in the Tour of France this year, he was very quiet in the first week, 10 days. We did not talk about him a lot, but he was just getting ready and coming better as the race went on. But after the tour, of course, there's always a lot, and he made a number of appearances, these after tour criterion appearances, and a lot of receptions as well, and that also takes a little bit from you. And I think he's a bit tired, but he's a one we see many times where he suffers a bit and just clings on and gets back in there, as we see Valverde just clinging on to the Rio now, and maybe he's starting to suffer as well, as Mosquera still pushes it on.
He is, isn't he?
Yes, he's certainly causing problems here for Valverde.
Valverde looks like he's all of a sudden come to that wall. Look at that, he's lost 10, 12 bike lengths immediately. He just suddenly went out the line, kabang, and slipped backwards, tried to get back into the wheel of Sastre and hasn't. Mosquera is really causing problems, and Sastra's gone. He's gone completely.
Did he have a problem with his chain that he seemed to slow real big time there? Did he drop a chain for a second, or no? He seems to be certainly also in trouble.
I think he's just gone. He's got Alejandro Valverde. We're trying to get up to his wheel, but Carlos Sastre looks to me as though he's gone bang for him. And Mosquera is really pushing this on. Mosquera is after the win, but Sastre, we're just talking about him. He's not been up against these three men ahead of him. Leipheimer and Contador and Mosquera have got this Grand Tour within their sights. Of course, Sastre's big sights was the Tour de France. This is fascinating stuff. Well, I wonder if Ezequiel Mosquera was aware that these two guys would be the guys who were going to stay with him if he puts a dig in at the end.
Well, of course, if you're on a good day, and Mosquera, being a very good climber, if you feel real good, well, you just, setting a very strong pace, and he's burned a lot of the big favourites out.
Look at this. Valverde is in so much trouble that he's just been cruised past by Gesink and Moncoutier. He's just trying to get back onto the wheel now. He gets into the wheel of David Moncoutier, who's sitting there with Robert Gesink. Oliver Zorg is behind him, and I wonder how long he'll stay in there as well. He was waiting, I think, for somebody to come up, but Rodriguez is not there. Has Rodriguez gone past him? Surely not. Surely Rodriguez must be further down the slope, blown up as well. And still Ezequiel Mosquera pushes on. Now, Contador looks over his shoulder to see who's still with him, and that shadow of teammate Levi Leipheimer is there as well. If the rumours are to be believed within the camp of Astana, all sorts of things must be running through the mind of Alberto Contador about his teammates, either support or lack of it, silently. This is a disaster for Alejandro Valverde once again. He's got to the final week of a three-week tour, and it seems that he's having a bad day. Carlos Sastre as well being passed by the big, rangy Dutchman Robert Gesink with another good day for David Moncoutier. He's got to get into that wheel, Carlos Sastre, and see how long he can hang in there. Well, there's a fierce pace being set at the top by Ezequiel Mosquera, because to shed those two, and although they had a real problems yesterday digging as deep as they possibly could, they really did go bang.
Yes, certainly, and Valverde really went bang, and it looked like Sastre had a problem there, but it also was a bang, and he just stopped pedaling for a moment and lost all his momentum, but just was clinging on there, hanging in there, and just blew and took that fraction of a second of a recovery time. But certainly, it's been answered now. We can see the answer that both of them are suffering big time when they're being caught by other riders, and Valverde is certainly not able to cling on to the riders coming by.
Well, now we've got two super climbers in the shape of Mosquera and Contador, really natural climbers, and Leipheimer, who's slightly more of an all-round, although he's an absolutely superb climber. It's 11 seconds back to Valverde. The best result that Ezequiel Mosquera has had so far this year is a win in the Clásica Alcobendas back in May. Although he did finish 5th in the Tour of Burgos this year as well, and the top 10 in the Tour of the Basque Country, so he's a tough cookie. But all those, the Tour of Burgos was in August. 2 kilometers to go for these guys. Well done, Carlos Sastre, hanging on to that wheel of David Moncoutier. Robert Gesink showing another good day in the mountains. Climbs well for a big guy. Moncoutier is not small either, and both of them are on good days today. And Sastre regrouping his forces, got a wheel to hang on to. Oliver Zorg and Alejandro Valverde, maybe this is the wheel that Valverde can hang on to or just stay with.
38 seconds for Valverde.
Oh. Well, Valverde started the day at 4 minutes and 40 seconds down on Alberto Contador. Any chance of making up any time on the podium is being lost at the moment, with Mosquera is the man who's going to benefit most of all. He's trying to ride himself into a podium place. Carlos Sastre has him to fight against. Sastre started at 3:01 this morning. Mosquera started at 4:19. Gesink was at 5:09. He's got Rodriguez in his sights, who was only a handful of seconds ahead of him in the overall classification. Robert Gesink could end up with a top 5 place in this Vuelta.
Yes, and he's certainly looking, better as we go up this climb. He's really just, pushing it big time, and surprised that he got left behind a bit earlier on. But sometimes to get your rhythm is difficult, as we see as Contador. He's going to attack here, and now the question is, can Mosquera respond here, because he's going to take more time from Leipheimer, and of course Leipheimer can do nothing here. He's just hoping that Mosquera will be able to keep a good pace and not allow Contador to pull out a big advantage.
Alberto Contador just stands on the pedals and goes around the outside of Ezequiel Mosquera, who's done so much work. He's broken the back of everybody, and once again the man in the gold here, with 1 kilometer to go, is going to go over the top of this climb of San Isidro and into the ski station to take a second stage in a row, this time with the gold leader's jersey on his shoulders, and add more time at the top. That's a terrible situation for Levi Leipheimer to be in as a contender. If he had any sights set on the top step of the podium, Sean, this is surely the most torture he could possibly have. Not physical, but mental.
Yes, certainly, and he's in a difficult position at the moment, because he certainly cannot ride. He should have attacked first and go for a bit earlier on, and then he's in a position, he's up there in front, and if Contador come to him, well, then he can continue on. But now with Contador making the first attack, of course he has to wait for Mosquera to respond.
Into the big ring, powering his way towards the finish. Trek bikes riding with SRAM this year. Now David Moncoutier slips out from behind the wheel of Robert Gesink, does he? He did for a second, and bigger gear being turned by Carlos Sastre. Well, he's done well to just hang in there, Sean. Once again, fighting his way up a mountain and having real problems and hanging in there. This is not too far back to Mosquera and Leipheimer. Now, is Leipheimer going to leap out from behind Mosquera at this point? Surely. Alberto Contador, for the second day in a row, is going to take a victory here in the Vuelta a España. He's got time to even look around him and see where everybody is. This time wearing the gold leader's jersey. Is he going to be the first Spaniard ever to win all 3 tours? Nobody's ever done it before. He makes a second day in the mountains count and takes victory once again. The fingers go up in an approximation of a gun, and the bullet goes off, and Mosquera attacks against Leipheimer, and I don't think Leipheimer could respond. It's a blow to the confidence